You've been taught to chase, to please, to constantly seek her validation, hoping that one day she'll choose you back. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The more you try to win her over, the more you lose your edge. That's not masculinity. That's self-betrayal dressed as romance. What if the key wasn't more emotion, but emotional leverage? What if you could flip the dynamic by mastering what she's not saying? Welcome to reverse psychology, the silent weapon of real dominance. And once you understand it, you'll decode any woman in minutes. The game isn't what it seems, and if you keep playing by her rules, you're already losing. Let me show you the ones that never get played. If this kind of conversation is shifting something inside you, help more men wake up too. Hit the like, drop your thoughts, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. To start mastering her language, you first need to stop reacting and start seeing. Reverse psychology, the hidden power behind female behavior. Most men think women want sweet words, grand gestures, and constant attention, but the ones who get the girl, they operate differently. They don't chase, they attract. They don't explain, they command. This isn't about being rude or cold. It's about understanding female nature and how reverse psychology reveals what she really responds to, not what she says out loud. You've been given the wrong manual, and it's costing you more than you think. Let's get one thing straight. When she says, "I don't know what I want," she knows exactly what she wants. She just doesn't want you to know. That's where perception comes in. You need to see what's beneath the surface, what's hidden between the lines of her behavior. Women communicate through reaction, not just words. And once you learn to read those reactions, you'll stop asking what she means. You'll already know. You ever noticed how women seem drawn to men who give them less? The guy who's calm, mysterious, untouchable? That's not luck. That's composure. That's stoicism. That's a man who holds his frame no matter what she throws at him. She pushes to see if he breaks. But when he doesn't, something primal kicks in. That's not indifference, it's controlled power. And yes, it's addictive to her. Here's what they won't tell you. Women don't fall in love through comfort. They fall through tension. And that tension is crafted through subtle, strategic use of emotional leverage. Reverse psychology isn't manipulation. It's a mirror. It shows her who she is and forces her to chase clarity in a storm of confusion. That chase, ironically, is what bonds her to you. Because now, you are the answer she can't decode. Imagine this. She's texting you non-stop, wondering why you're not reacting like the others. She tests your boundaries, pokes at your ego, flirts with disrespect, just to see if she can shake your masculinity. But you stay centered, calm, focused. She can't label you, and that drives her insane in the best way. This isn't about being emotionless, it's about control of your mind, your energy, your presence. Let me tell you about Nathan, quiet guy. He used to over-explain himself in every interaction. Thought that if he was honest and open, she'd appreciate him more. She didn't. She got bored. She left. Then he learned this: validation given too freely loses its weight. He pulled back, stopped explaining, sharpened his awareness, and suddenly, the same girl was chasing him, asking where his attention went. Behavior flipped, because the strategy changed. Women don't want a puzzle they can solve in 5 minutes. They want a mystery they feel but can't explain. When you're predictable, you become replaceable. But when you know how to feed intent, signal depth, and leave emotional space for her to fill, you're no longer just a man, you're an experience. And experiences linger. That's the secret. Reverse psychology isn't about tricking her. It's about unlocking her. The moment you stop acting like every answer needs to be explained is the moment she starts leaning in. Silence, when used correctly, is louder than words. It creates emotional leverage. She begins to project, to imagine, to feel you, instead of just analyzing you. That's how attraction builds, through space, not suffocation. If she's confused by your stillness, you're doing it right. Confusion triggers curiosity, and curiosity leads to pursuit. The biggest mistake? Thinking you have to constantly reassure her. No. Let her wonder. Let her crave compliance, only to find you don't bend like the rest. That tension isn't just psychological, it's primal, and that's exactly what makes you unforgettable. When a man lacks boundaries, he becomes emotionally exposed, and not in a powerful way. He overshares. He overextends. He loses his masculinity trying to buy connection with vulnerability. But reverse psychology is different. It teaches you to hold space without rushing to fill it. You stop reacting to every shift in her tone or mood. You start observing. You notice the patterns, the way she tests you, the timing of her compliments, the coldness after a deep moment. It's all part of the cycle, and once you recognize that it's not personal, you step out of the emotional trap. That's when your composure becomes magnetic. That's when she starts needing your presence just to feel secure again. Let's break this down into something you can apply today. Step 1. Pause before you answer. In any text, call, or face-to-face conversation, hold the pause. Let her fill the silence. That pause shows control. Step 2. When she asks what you're thinking, don't spill it all. Offer a taste, not the whole dish. That's strategy. Step 3. Shift the focus. Ask her questions that reveal her intent, not aggressively, but with grounded confidence. For example, ask, "What do you think is most misunderstood about you?" Let her talk. Let her open up. You're not being passive. You're observing her behavior. And with every answer, she exposes the parts of herself she's used to hiding. That's how you lead the interaction, without force. Women are not impressed by performance, they're impressed by presence. You don't need to pretend to be someone else. You need to stop trying to impress altogether. Authenticity isn't loud. It's solid. When you're rooted in your frame, your energy says everything. You're not rushing, you're not calculating every move. You're grounded, watching, waiting. She can feel it, even if she doesn't fully understand it. And here's the magic. That space you create triggers her imagination. She'll start to assign depth to you. She'll start to chase answers, and that chase builds emotional investment. She becomes the one wondering, planning, adjusting. And you stay centered in your awareness, knowing that less done well always beats more done wrong. You've probably heard the phrase, "Nice guys finish last." But here's what they don't tell you. Nice isn't the problem. Predictable is. The moment she knows exactly how you'll react, she loses the spark. She knows your reaction before you even speak. That kills the attraction. Reverse psychology injects unpredictability back into the dynamic, but in a controlled way. You don't become chaotic. You become unreadable in the best sense. You still lead, but you lead in silence. Through direction, not explanation. Through curiosity, not confession. That keeps her emotionally engaged, and when she's engaged, she stays. Not because you begged, but because you became the value she can't quite define. Ever heard a woman say, "There's just something about him"? That something is usually stoicism. It's the ability to stay calm under pressure, not fake calm. Real, inner stillness. When she's loud, you're quiet. When she's testing, you're still. That contrast builds polarity. It makes her feel feminine around you because you're not flinching. You're not proving anything. You're just being. That doesn't mean you don't feel emotions. It means you don't let them control the room. And that balance, that's power. The type of power that doesn't need to flex. Because presence alone communicates strength far louder than words ever will. And she knows it instinctively. Let's take it further. The power of reverse psychology isn't in playing games. It's in shifting the perception of who holds the emotional upper hand. Most men give away their position before the first date even starts. They overshare, overpromise, overtext. And in doing so, they lose dominance. But what happens when you slow it all down? When you give just enough to keep her engaged, but not enough for her to read you like a manual? You create space. Space breeds desire. And that desire makes her question her own intent. Is she chasing you or clarity? That tension is what keeps her hooked. Not the details, not the gifts, but the unknown. Let me tell you something that might sting a little. If she can predict your next move, she already placed you in the safe category, and not in a good way. Safe doesn't excite. Safe doesn't challenge. Safe equals forgettable. But when you introduce mystery without becoming cold, when you hold back just enough to spark curiosity, you reframe yourself as an emotional puzzle worth solving. That's when she starts investing emotionally. She'll replay your words in her head, dissect your intent, ask her friends for opinions, all because you didn't spill everything. That's the silent manipulation that works without ever lying. You gave her a story to chase, and people chase what they don't fully understand. Every woman you'll meet runs internal tests, often without realizing it. She'll joke in ways that hint at disrespect. She'll delay replies to see if you react. She might flirt with your friend in front of you. It's not because she's cruel, it's instinct. She wants to feel your masculinity respond, not panic. That's where reverse psychology becomes your edge. You respond with stillness, maybe even a smirk, no accusation, no chasing, just cool awareness. And when she doesn't get the emotional chaos she expected, she adjusts, she softens, because your refusal to react places you above the drama, and that's value she didn't expect to find. Let's be clear, you're not here to beg for love. You're not here to prove your worth, you're here to lead. Through stoicism, through subtle dominance, through non-verbal cues that speak louder than flattery. Every man who's mastered this has one thing in common. They understand that attention is currency, and they don't spend it recklessly. So here's a quick exercise. Next time you're tempted to reply instantly, pause. Ask yourself, is this message reactive or intentional? Choose intent every time. That small habit alone begins to shift the entire power dynamic in your favor. And here a quick pause. If this kind of content is opening your eyes to things you've never noticed before, don't wait. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications right now. Why? Because most men stay blind their whole lives. But you're seeing the code, and this video is just the beginning. Let's keep going. You see, the real shift happens when you stop trying to control her and start controlling yourself. That's where the whole concept of frame comes alive. Your frame is your emotional center. If it gets pulled every time she's hot or cold, you're not leading. You're following her lead. That's when she loses respect. But when you remain grounded, when your reaction is calm and minimal, she feels it. She feels that she's not in control of your emotions. That's when her attraction deepens, not because you did something, but because you didn't. The power of restraint is underrated, but it's deadly effective. Let's get brutally honest. Most guys are too available, too open, too eager to make things work. But availability kills mystery, and mystery fuels pursuit. So what does reverse psychology look like in practice? Sometimes it's saying less. Sometimes it's not responding until the next morning. Not because you're playing games, but because your awareness told you she needed space to feel your absence. Sometimes power isn't in what you say, it's in what you withhold. And the moment she starts asking why you're different, you've already won the psychological edge. There's this myth that being emotionally open means being emotionally honest. But there's a difference between authenticity and overexposure. Authenticity is showing who you are through action, not constant storytelling. It's keeping your composure when the conversation turns personal. It's letting her ask questions and only answering what aligns with your boundaries. Women aren't turned off by truth. They're turned off by over-accessibility, by men who dump every detail hoping it builds connection. Connection comes through perception, not dumping your life story. So the next time you feel the urge to explain everything, don't. Let her earn that access. That's how value is built. When she starts guessing, she starts chasing. That's the core of reverse psychology, and it all starts with the simplest shift. Stop giving all the answers. Imagine you're in a room with her. She asks what you're thinking. Instead of explaining, you smile and say, "You tell me." That single moment flips the dynamic. It forces her to engage, to guess, to lean in. You're not playing games, you're building emotional tension. And tension, when managed with confidence, creates obsession. Not because you tricked her, but because you let her invest emotionally first. And people fight to keep what they work to understand. You don't need to tell her how strong you are, she needs to feel it. That's where masculinity becomes experiential, not theoretical. A man who applies reverse psychology doesn't flex his knowledge. He reflects her behavior back to her in subtle ways. If she withdraws, he leans out further. If she flirts for attention, he observes, not reacts. That quiet stillness makes her wonder, why isn't he affected? And when a woman starts asking questions like that, her emotional walls begin to fall. She becomes curious, and curiosity in a woman is where all attraction begins. You didn't change, you simply stopped proving, and in that space you became the power she didn't expect. Let's get practical. One simple way to flip the dynamic is to ask questions that make her reflect. Most women are used to being asked surface-level things. What do you do? What kind of music do you like? But what happens when you ask, what's something about you people often misunderstand? You just took the interaction to another level. Now she has to dig. She has to self-assess. That creates emotional leverage, because you're the first one to make her pause and think differently. And the more she opens up, the more she bonds. Not with your charm, but with your intent. You guided her into depth, and that's where emotional imprinting begins. There's a reason the silent man at the party gets the most attention. It's not because he's antisocial, it's because his composure signals depth. He doesn't need to be seen. He lets his presence speak. That presence is dominance without aggression. It's what most men miss in their attempt to impress. They speak too soon, reveal too much, laugh too loud. The silent man? He listens, he scans. And when he finally speaks, everyone leans in. That's what happens when your words are few but your awareness is strong. Women notice it. They feel that difference, and they want to explore it. Because you don't just seem different. You are different. The key to decoding any woman is realizing that her words often camouflage her intent. She may say, "I don't care," but her eyes linger too long. She may say, "We're just friends," but her body leans in. This is where intuition comes into play. You don't listen to the sentence, you read the signal. Her micro-expressions, her tone drop, the shift in her posture. This takes training, but once you refine it, you start hearing what's not being said. And when you speak to that, she feels seen, not just heard. Reverse psychology helps you cut through the surface and respond to what she's actually feeling, even if she doesn't fully know it yet. Another critical shift: don't fight for the center of attention. Own the margins. That's where influence lives. The guy fighting to be noticed ends up overlooked, but the one who stands in silence, who watches before speaking, becomes memorable. That's not indifference, that's strategy. You become the one who isn't fazed by her beauty or games. And in that grounded stoicism, she finds mystery. Reverse psychology lets you use that mystery to draw her in. You never chase, you never try too hard. And somehow, she ends up orbiting you. That's not by accident. That's by mastering control of your presence and reactions. When a woman doesn't fully understand your behavior, she feels two things at once: curiosity and tension. That tension, if managed well, becomes emotional fuel. She replays the conversation. She questions the meaning behind your words. She checks your social media. She talks about you to friends. Why? Because your emotional frame didn't give her easy answers. You became the riddle, and people obsess over what they can't solve. So the next time you think about being more open or more expressive to gain trust, pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this to connect or to be accepted? Because the difference between authenticity and emotional neediness is razor thin. Reverse psychology isn't about flipping her decisions. It's about flipping your awareness of her emotional mechanics. Most guys hear no and crumble. The smart ones hear no and think, that's not final, it's a test. And if it's a test, you respond with presence, not panic. That subtle reframe is everything. It turns you from passive to perceptive. You no longer operate from desperation. You operate from confidence. And she feels that shift immediately. Women sense when a man's rooted in himself, when rejection doesn't shake his value. That steadiness, that's what makes you stand out in a world full of weak reactions. You don't win her over by convincing, you win her over by being. That's the paradox most men never grasp. When you stop trying to persuade her and start embodying your masculinity, everything shifts. She feels safer, more intrigued, more drawn to you, even if she can't explain why. You're no longer chasing the outcome, you're leading with intent. You're not looking for a reaction, you're grounded in your truth. And when she senses that your emotions aren't up for negotiation, she respects you. That respect? It's the doorway to emotional depth, to attraction that isn't forced but natural. And that's how you stop being an option and become the standard. Let's flip the mirror. What's your behavior teaching her? Every time you explain too much, apologize unnecessarily, or try to fix things she didn't ask you to fix, you're teaching her that she's leading, that she's the dominance in the room, that she can steer your frame with a few emotional cues. But when you apply reverse psychology, you let her emotions roll by like weather. You don't stop the rain, you just don't get wet. That's how you teach her that you are the emotional anchor. And when you become the anchor, she'll let go of control, not out of submission, but out of trust. Here's something powerful. Women don't need you to solve their problems. They need to feel that you're not one of them, that you don't crumble under pressure, that you don't beg for validation every time she pulls back, that your sense of self doesn't collapse when she withdraws affection. That's why Stoicism is magnetic. It signals strength under emotional fire. And that's why reverse psychology works, because instead of reacting, you reframe. Instead of arguing, you pause. Instead of explaining, you observe. And by doing less, you do more. She'll feel the difference. Because every man before you tried too hard. And you didn't. Let's be real. Control isn't about domination. It's about self-governance. Can you sit with the unknown? Can you stay present when she's testing, teasing, or pulling away? Can you stop yourself from chasing closure? Because that's where emotional leverage lives. In your stillness. In your unshakable composure. Most guys want quick results. But strategy isn't about speed, it's about timing. Reverse psychology helps you slow down the tempo, stretch out the tension, and create space for her desire to grow naturally. Not forced, not demanded, but invited. By your refusal to react like every man she's ever met. You want a woman to be obsessed? Make her feel like you're not fully figured out, that she hasn't cracked your code, that her feminine energy isn't enough to bend your boundaries, that she has to rise to your standards, not the other way around. And you don't do that by talking, you do that by being in control of your time, your energy, your behavior. Women don't fall for men who follow. They fall for men who make them feel new things. Emotional tension, confusion, attraction, curiosity, all of it lives inside the unknown. You are the unknown. Let her feel it. We've covered a lot. But remember this, none of this is about pretending to be someone else. It's about remembering who you are when you're not seeking approval, when you're no longer chasing comfort, when you're leading with authenticity and backed by unshakable confidence. Reverse psychology is a tool, but your mindset is the engine. If you still carry wounds, insecurities, or fears of abandonment, those things will bleed through. So clean your lens. Heal what needs to be healed, not for her, but for the man you know you can be. Because once you become that man, everything changes. So what now? You've just learned the blueprint most men go their entire lives without seeing, but knowledge without action is just noise. It's time to apply. Observe her next reaction. Practice silence. Pull back when you're tempted to push forward. Ask better questions. Let go of the outcome. Master your reaction. That's how you sharpen your perception. That's how you become the man who's not just hard to get, but impossible to replace. No more chasing, no more guessing. Just presence, power, and peace. Because when you move like a man who understands her mind, she'll follow you without ever needing to be asked. So now the real question is this. Are you going to keep reacting the same way? Begging for answers, proving your worth, losing yourself just to earn her approval? Or will you step into the man who doesn't need to be understood to be desired? Reverse psychology wasn't about games, it was about awareness, about walking through fire without flinching, about letting her come to you, not because you manipulated her, but because you finally understood her nature and mastered your own. So tell me, what part of this video hit you the hardest? What behavior of yours are you going to change today? Leave a comment right now with this phrase, I lead, I don't chase. Let's make that your commitment. And hey, thank you for watching all the way through. That alone already puts you in the top 1% of men who are choosing to evolve, not just exist. If this video gave you clarity, insight, or even just a spark of something real, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button, share this with a friend who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel with notifications on. There's a lot more coming, and you're not going to want to miss it.